Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and here we are at Saturday morning, and it is time for Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to well sell logically. And I'm here with my co-host, Mark Hunter.
Hey, good morning. It's always great to start off Saturdays with you. We've got some good things happening, not only with the show, but hey, you got your new book coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's great.
Yeah, I love the fact that we do this show on Saturday because, the thing is, people always say, should you sell on Saturday? And I think this is one of those competitive advantage type of opportunities. So those of you who are with us this morning, get ready because we're about to discuss I love today's show. I love the topic. I wish I had come up with it, but it was Mark's turn this week. So before we dive into what we're going to be discussing today, I'm just going to give a quick overview, like I always do, of how the show works. So each week, Mark and I come to you for no more than 20 to 25 minutes, and we put the show into 4 sections. We have a topic of the day. We have a question from you, our listeners. So that's right. We want you to get involved in this show. So if you have a question for us, please go to saleslogicpodcast.com or just post it on social media, #SalesLogic. Then we discuss a book, something that we're reading or we think should be top of mind. And last but not least, because we want you to get return on investment, we finish up with a lightning round, things that you can put into place immediately to be more effective. So Mark, what's on tap for today?
Well, what's on tap? And let's tease people because we're also coming out with Sales Logic Focus 30. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. But hey, stay tuned. Sales Logic Focus 30. I think you're going to like it. Anyway, okay, the topic for today. What does it take to stay motivated and be an optimist? Ooh, okay, we've all been hit by that one. Got a great question. The question comes from Tim in Dallas, and he asks, hey, my boss is negative, and much of my sales team is negative. Is there anything I can do, or should I just leave? Okay, we got a great book we're going to talk about, and we're going to do a lightning round where we give you some fast things with which you can use right now. So before we jump into the topic, let's go back to Tim in Dallas. Tim is waiting for us in Dallas with his response. He says, my boss is negative and much of the sales team is negative. Is there anything I can do, or should I just leave?
I always hesitate to tell somebody to leave a job because I don't know your financial situation and I don't know what your opportunities out there. But number one is, I think that we should all always be looking for a job and exploring opportunities so that when you get into a situation like this, you always have a choice. But let's talk about some immediate things that you can do. If the people that you're surrounding yourself with, if your team and your leader are negative, you need a support system that is not negative. Remember, every mentor and every coach and every peer does not need to be inside the walls of your organization. You can look outward for other people that you can connect to be positive. Hey, welcome, Patrick. So glad you're here.
Hey, that is so easy for people to become negative when you hang out with negative people. And sometimes, you know what? Your most positive voice is a customer out there. I'm going to say, Tim, I bet you've got some customers out there that, you just need to be connecting more with and let them be positive. Here's the whole thing. Negative people pull you down. Why? Because they don't like to see you being positive. So you know what? You just need to cut them off the knee. You need to really reduce your time in the office, reduce your communication with your boss. And here's a quick technique. Don't have communication with your negative boss first thing in the morning, because you know what? That communication is going to get you down. You want to have communication with positive people. And as Meridith said, find somebody outside your company, outside your business. Connect with them on the telephone, connect with them on text messaging, whatever it is. But you need some positive influences.
I think Mark just gave you such a great tip. I remember this years ago when I worked in corporate. And it wasn't that everybody was negative, but it was just always meetings after meetings after meetings. And meetings drive me nuts because I feel like I accomplish nothing. And if I can't accomplish anything, then that feels negative to me. But what Mark said was plan time with customers. I think there is nothing better to motivate you than going out and making a sales call. And so maybe you start off in the morning and you have to go to the morning huddle. And the morning huddle is just the sales leader being negative and people complaining they can't hit their goals. Plan a call right after that. leave the building or pick up the phone or get on a Zoom and infuse that energy back into you. There are things that you're going to have to do when you're in a negative environment that are just, you can't get out of them. There's meetings, there's reports you have to do, but you can balance that with things that infuse energy into you. And one of those really critical is the moment that I focus on a customer's problems, their challenges, that just excites me because that's where we're really good as salespeople.
And keep your eye open for what's the positive thing that you're going to see today. In other words, what I always say is start the day off by taking a piece of paper, writing down 3 or 4 things that you're thankful for, and write down 3 or 4 things that you expect to look for today to create motivation in your life. It might be, hey, I'm looking forward to this call with this person. I'm looking forward to connecting with this. I'm looking forward to reading this. But when you set your sights on the optimistic things that you're going to find in your day, it's amazing how the negativity. And one piece that this hit home with me. I remember I was in an environment, and I drink a lot of coffee, which means you got to go to the break room to get coffee. And let me tell you something, this company, the break room was so negative. I wound up bringing coffee from home to avoid the break room, because even though I needed coffee, I'd go in there and it just seeps into you, the negativity. And I just began bringing a big thermos of coffee from home so I could avoid that negativity out there.
Our listener, Patrick Tinney, says mental health is worth more than money. And it certainly is. So number one is, if you can't leave this job right now, go ahead and shift your mindset around it. Tell yourself that this is your growing edge. Can I stay positive in a negative environment? And start to do things to fuel your own optimism. I mean, I start my day every day with a little meditation and focusing on my goals, the things that I want to achieve. That gets me really, really motivated. I would say you probably need to listen to a video or somebody that's going to infuse a little bit of energy into you. But take control of understand yourself of what it takes to motivate you, and then seek that information and infuse it into your day. But I love this idea of shifting. Anytime I'm in a situation I can't change or a situation that upsets me, I tell myself it's my growing edge. If I can accomplish what I need to accomplish in a less than ideal environment, I am going to grow and expand. So if you can stay positive in a negative environment, your optimism is going to go off the chart.
And in the words of Zig Ziglar, you're not a tree, move. Move out of that negative environment. And I'd say, hey, because you're in Dallas, I don't know what job you're in. Well, I do know, because you did fill me in on that. Your job market's pretty good down there. You may want to be thinking about looking for a different job. But I don't want to push anybody out anybody's door. Hey, we should jump into the topic, because the topic lends itself right with this. What does it take to stay motivated and be an optimist? But hey, I'm going to ask this question first. Meridith, are you an optimist?
I am definitely an optimist. I'm so obnoxiously optimistic, I probably annoy myself. What about you, Mark?
I am. And you know what? It's funny, because isn't it amazing how optimistic people hang out with optimistic people? It's one of the reasons you and I do as much together, because we are optimists. Optimists do flock together, just as pessimists flock together. Something there on that one.
Yeah. I think one of the things that if you want to stay optimistic, if you want to stay motivated, I think the first thing that you need to decide is that it's a choice. You need to make a decision that this is how you're going to behave and what you're going to do. It's so funny. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine about this yesterday, saying whether it's nature or nurture. I do believe that some people are naturally optimistic, but I believe you can train yourself to be it, and you just have to decide first and foremost.
Oh, I think without a doubt you can train yourself, because I've seen some people who are in very difficult situations that you would just, appalling. And yet they're still incredibly optimistic, because I really do believe it's a mindset. And here's what I found. When you're optimistic, it's amazing how many more opportunities will come your way. Do customers want to have a negative person appear on their front door? Well, right now, people don't want anybody on their front door. But do people want to hear from negative? No, they want to hear from optimists. They want to hear from motivated. Here's one of the ways that I find myself getting motivated. And that is, I always look at the long picture. The valleys are never as deep as you think they are, and the mountaintops are never as high as you think they are. And I found one of the best ways to stay motivated is to think long term. There's always going to be things that don't go right. Like you made the comment, something goes wrong, you learn from it. That's okay. That's okay. I keep my focus on the long-term picture, and I keep my focus on my goals. And as long as I'm inching my way towards my goals, I'm going to call it a great day.
Yeah, I think it's so important when you talked about inching your way, because I think one of the most important ways to stay motivated is to focus on progress. So I have my little to-do list every single day, and my to-do list is massive. But what you're looking at here is the things I'm going to accomplish today versus my massive to-do list, which is behind this, which is huge. Now, this depresses me. I can't get all this done on a Saturday, but I can get these things done on a Saturday. So shorten the list and make sure that you're making progress. I don't think there's ever anything more motivating than scratching something off the to-do list and looking down at your list and actually realizing you accomplished what you needed to accomplish. So progress, I just really believe that progress is where motivation comes from.
Well, and you touched on something there that I find so powerful. I love you get up in the morning and you jump into something difficult. You jump into one of your most difficult tasks. There's a question I want to ask myself is, come 10 a.m., have I delivered value to myself and my business? Have I delivered value? No. And there's something magical when I can say that I've delivered value and I've done something significant by 10 a.m. I go, yeah, that's great. And here's another piece that I tell people. If you're having problems getting motivated, just like you do with your list, set yourself a very small goal that you can accomplish early in the morning. When you accomplish a goal early in the morning, it's amazing how you get, a little more motivated. You get a little more momentum. Momentum creates momentum. And it's amazing at how things accelerate.
Yeah. I also think that you need to, if you want to stay motivated, you need to look at all the aspects of your life that motivate you. We're not just talking about work. I mean, if you look at the way that I structure a day is structured around my health, it's structured around my family and friends, it's structured around my business, and it's structured around my finances. And so those are areas of my life and my spirituality that matter to me. And so every day I need to make a little progress in each particular area. Now, the reason I think that's important is because if I sit at my desk for 15 hours and work like a dog, and I do not pay attention to my family and I do not pay attention to my friends, there's some kind of guilt eating away at me. And so to stay motivated, it is about a balance of your entire life. And you need to think about it. I don't believe you can be motivated by being good at work when your finances are a disaster, and so it isn't about the fact that every point of my life is perfect, but I am inching away at the things I want there and balancing my life out. And I think that's very important to stay motivated.
I think you have something else in your life that motivates you. That's Jackson, your new puppy. I have a feeling Jackson motivates you. And see, this is what's interesting. When we surround ourselves with just something, those little things, okay, Jackson's not going to be little for long, but when we surround ourselves with little things, it is amazing how it can very much turn the tide as to how we look at things. And this comes back to something else with regards to motivation. We talked about it in the question, with Tim. Who is the person in your life that you can call on? Who's that person that you can bounce things off of? And what I found is if you have this peer set, this mastermind group, like what you and I are in, we have an ability to help each other and lift each other up. And in so doing, we lift ourselves up. And it's amazing. The most motivated people are also the most giving people. The most optimistic are giving people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mark, earlier you had said, that if you're optimistic, you'll find opportunity. And years ago, I read an article about neuroscience where they actually have proven the fact that somebody who is optimistic, their brain fires differently. And I think Tony Robbins is famous for that, little story about if you buy a red car, then, all you'll see for the next week are red cars all over the road, because what you look for, you find. And that's why I think if you want to stay motivated and you want to be optimistic, what you read and what you take in first thing in the morning is critically important. I mean, you heard Mark say that if you have a negative boss, try to stay away from them first thing in the morning. Now you're going to need to interact with them probably later, but the reason he was giving you that advice is because what you take in first thing in the morning is going to determine how you feel the rest of the day and what you find the rest of the day. So be very protective, especially in that first 30 minutes, as to what goes into your brain.
That also applies to every time you make a sales call, regardless, whether it be a Zoom meeting, Teams, whether it be an email, whatever, phone call, whatever. It's amazing. Your thought going into picking up the phone and calling that is going to determine the outcome. And if you go in thinking negative, if you go in thinking, oh, there's nothing to be found here, there will be nothing. But if you go into it thinking that, hey, there's going to be something that's going to come out of this, something's going to come out of this. I did a deal the other day that this was an event that I really wasn't expecting anything, but we got done with it. It was a real quick kind of webinar podcast thing. And we got talking. It's like, wow, we created a really cool next step, because I went into that thing saying, okay, this is small, this is little, but you know what? We're going to create something. And we did. Your mental mindset is going to shape the outcomes that you create.
Yeah, I love what Patrick says here. Eat a bucket of frogs first thing in the morning. It frees the mind to get loose as a goose, and that is when the sales magic. That's when the sales magic happens. Again, who you surround yourself with, what you focus on, and making sure that you're focused on what matters. Mark and I have a friend by the name of Bill Backrack, and he sent me this little diagram, I don't know, a couple months back, but it's you do two circles and you have those circles intersect. In one circle, you put the things that matter, and in the other circle, you put the things that you can control. And where those two circles intersect is where you need to put your time and where you need to put your energy. And I am just amazed from interviewing and talking with successful people who are optimistic and motivated, is that they're very focused on what they can control and they don't sweat the small stuff.
Wow, without a doubt, because you see negative people and they consume themselves with media, they consume themselves with news, they consume themselves, and it just becomes this spiral of continuously going down. You control your environment. Do not allow yourself to be a victim, rather be the victor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Mark, we should probably talk about the book.
The book. Hey, the book is, boy, I tell you what, this has been out for a long time. In fact, it's funny. I went to my library. I can't find my hard copy. Now I realize I loaned it out. So I had to get the paperback version that is literally yellowed and everything. It's Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, anybody over the age of 45 has undoubtedly read this book. But here's the thing. If you're under the age of 40, I want you to read this book. This book has been out for 25 years. It is still as relevant as ever, because you know what? It talks about habits. You want to be motivated? You want to be focused? This book is going to absolutely bring you home on that.
Yeah. There's my husband is on a board here in town where they work with the school systems, and they started to take those books into the school system and adapt it for kids. And the impact it is having is amazing. And I think that, it's not a complicated book. It's simple. You read it and you think, wow, that isn't rocket science, but those habits really put it into place are going to take you to a whole nother level. I think it's a good book for anybody over 45 to pick up and read again.
Yeah. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Those 7 habits are so good. It took him 20 years to come out with his next book, The 8th Habit.
8th Habit.
Okay. So I think that says something. So anyway, hey, let's jump into the lightning round. The lightning round. Are you ready? Hands on the buzzer. Are you ready? Tips to stay motivated. Go.
Number 1 is, I think you need to fake it. I think even if you're not feeling motivated, fake it, and eventually the emotion will take over.
Always keep a list with you of what are things that have gone right, what are things that you're thankful for, what are things that you appreciate.
Yeah. Focus on progress. I love what Mark said about trying to accomplish something of value before 10 o'clock in the morning, creating momentum. So set a little goal before you leave the office at the end of the day that you can accomplish before 10 a.m. the next day.
Create a peer set of people who you can reach out to and you can connect with on a regular basis, who are also optimists and also motivated.
decide and get to know yourself what motivates you. Mark said, my new puppy Jackson motivates me, and nothing makes me happier than to take a break from work and go down and, throw the toy or something for him. So know what motivates you and work that into your day. Infuse energy into you. It will pay off by helping you accomplish more work.
Know what you can't control. What you can't control, don't worry about it. Spend your time 100% focused on what you can control.
Yeah. Treat negative people as your growing edge. If anybody is old enough to remember the Pink Panther movies, when the detective would enter the room, he would always get jumped by his servant. And I always think of negativity or obstacles as that servant jumping me. And my goal is to win. Think of it as your growing edge and welcome staying motivated even in a negative environment. Take it as a challenge.
Look for each activity you're about to do as a learning opportunity, regardless of what it is. Regardless, every opportunity you find yourself in each day is an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. Be realistic about your whole life. If you want to stay motivated at work, you need to feel good from a physical standpoint. You need to be infusing energy into your family and friend relationships, and you need to have your finances right. Motivation is a holistic feeling and emotion.
At the end of your day, celebrate your success. You may not have had much success at all, but certainly there was something. Take a moment, celebrate that success, end on a high note.
Yeah, I would say that, really look for things that motivate you, like a book or a quote or a video, and start and end each day with that.
I love that approach. And we're going to do one. I'll share one more. You do one more, and then we'll shut things down. Keep your eyes on your long-term goals. If you haven't written 25-year goals, write 25-year goals. It's amazing what you'll be able to accomplish.
I just thought everybody might like to see Jackson, and I put him on the podcast. All right. My last one is that I like to study successful people. And because when you look at anybody who has accomplished a lot, they have failed so many times. They have had so many obstacles. And I really get motivation from the fact that failing or challenge are just part of the journey. So study people who have been successful, and it's going to motivate you.
And I'll throw in one more. Get a puppy named Jackson. Hey, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter, I should say. I'm not Jackson. I'm Mark Hunter.
That's right. You still motivate me, Mark. And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical, and Jackson will go outside to relieve himself very shortly.
All right, guys, that was an awesome show. Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate the comments and the kudos. We will see you back here next week for another show, another topic, and everything that you need to know to sell logically. Now, Mark, before we jump off here, I think we need to tell people about the Focus 30, the Sales Logic Focus 30.
Oh, yeah, because I teased him right up front. We are starting. Meridith and I are taking individual subjects and drilling down deep on them and doing it in a 30-minute video session. And these are going to be appearing very shortly on our website, Sales Logic Podcast. You're going to want to make time to watch them. Sales Logic Focus 30. You're going to start seeing the first one appear in the next week or two.
All right. We'll see you next week.